What's going on, Mr. Widget, and welcome back to another episode of South Stand Signings, the series, of course, where I sit down with you and we go through all the transfer and news activity surrounding Leeds United. It is time for the afternoon scoop, but before I get the scoop to keep you in the loop, let's get our old trusty yerba mate. Give that a nice big sip and taste all of those juicy transfer rumours that are, of course, surrounding the mighty whites of Leeds United. And boy, are there quite a few circulating today. So let's get straight into the meat of all of those. Now, the first one is surrounding an area of the pitch which isn't really the top concern for a lot of Leeds fans, but is still very much a priority for us to fix, and that is, of course, defensive regions. Now, someone I've heard a little bit about this week is, of course, AC Milan's FPL CODE. Leeds United were looking at potentially bringing him in to strengthen our back line, although it doesn't look like that is going to be too much of an easy pursuit for Leeds United, as AC Milan are receiving a lot of interest from him, most notoriously recently from Saint Etienne, who Fabrizio Romano is reporting that he is in steep negotiations with. Ballo-Touré had already previously rejected an offer from Besiktas this summer, and will be interested to see if Leeds decide to make a move with Saint Etienne now very much interested. And again, it goes back to the exact same thing with Jonathan Rowe. Yes, we might be able to offer more for the club for these kind of players, but when it comes to the player himself, especially playing at AC Milan, we're not in the Premier League anymore. We do not have that pull to be able to draw these kind of players in. If Saint Etienne come in for him, Saint Etienne will get him, and that is the unfortunate situation that Leeds United are in. Of course, Ballo-Touré is one of a plethora of defenders that Leeds United are interested in, so I want to bring this to you guys to just really inquire as to who you think Leeds should go for in the back line. Do you think a left back is more of a priority? A right back is more of a priority? Who do you think Leeds United should really, how should we say, prioritise signing? I think for me, a right back is number one priority, not only because I think that we need a backup big time after losing two right backs in the summer, but I do also think we don't have a proven commodity out there at right back. I know we signed him, but listen, I think we could always do with extra backup. Now, speaking of positions in the wide areas which we could do with extra backups in, I know I'm stumbling over my words a little bit. That is because I am trying to ready the next article. I'm getting a little bit less rusty at this, shall we say. But, of course, there are a few articles. I picked up this specific one from Danny Bloomer, but I could have picked up one of a few articles around Jack Clarke. We spoke about him yesterday, and it seems ever since we spoke about him yesterday, the whole world has blown up talking about Jack Clarke and him potentially coming over to Leeds United. Of course, there is still very little substance as to developments in this story. It does seem like Sunderland are very keen to keep a hold of him. They've slapped a £25 million price tag on him. But Leeds do have the funds necessary to do it. Obviously, selling Summerville for around that £25 million mark, it might be a bit of a slap in the face for a lot of Leeds United fans to sell Summerville for around 25 and then spend that on someone who, yes, is a great player, but obviously isn't at the quality or caliber of a player that Summerville is. But of course, we know the reason we had to sell him was triggered clauses and all of that, etc, etc, etc. I heard a lot of you last night obviously saying, listen, we love Jack Clarke. Doesn't seem like it's a feasible option if he is going to go anywhere. It is probably the Premier League. But this is one of quite a few articles that is basically suggesting that Leeds should look into him as our Summerville replacement over someone like Jonathan Rowe, who it is seeming increasingly difficult for Leeds United to get their hands on. Of course, it would be slightly less with only £15 million being reported for it. And we will look over at Jonathan Rowe now, who Hadi Burton, bloody hell, I've got Hadi Sacco and Muda Barrow stuck in my head for some reason. But Harry Burton, as of the Wednesday, 14th of August, 1:39, is reporting Fabrizio Romano's comments, where he basically stated that it is not a super easy deal. A lot of people had been asking Fabrizio Romano, hey, Fabrizio, we're not in the Premier League anymore, but I want you to get yourself down into the Championship and give us some information on Leeds United. And let me know, is Jonathan Rowe going to be a possibility for Leeds United to sign? In which he came out, Leeds are still considering this possibility. To be honest, it is not an easy one, but potentially yes. To answer your question, there is still a chance to try again in this moment. Again, it is not considered super easy, but I would keep the doors open for this one until the end of the window. Not very promising signs if you're a Leeds United fan. We've heard many times over the past few years. Just wait until the end of the window, keep your hopes open, and then we end up getting our hopes squashed, obliterated, drained, burnt, everything. I want to ask you guys, should I give up? Should I give up hope? Should I keep a glimmer of hope? Do you see this deal happening? Please, guys, if I'm going to keep my hope open, you guys are keeping it open. If you guys are slamming your hope doors shut, then so am I, because I'm not going to be the only one that's getting burnt by this. So please, let me know. Are you in for the ride with me? Are you rowing your boat down that stream of optimism? Or should we just cut our ties here, sever our interest in Jonathan Rowe, and look elsewhere at something that might be a little bit more realistic? Please, guys, let me know what you guys are doing, because I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to go with the crowd on this one. I'm not staying out for it by myself. Of course, he is a very exciting acquisition, though. There was another article here basically just going into his numbers a little bit here over the 23-24 campaign, comparing him to Summerville, obviously playing a lot less minutes, almost half the amount of minutes as Summerville. 12 goals to 19, which isn't too bad, you know, comparing the minutes to goal ratio. 2 assists to 9. But then you start going into the shots, the dribbles per game, the key passes per game, and you start seeing that he is obviously a cut below Summerville, but obviously still has a lot of time to develop. And of course, with more minutes in a better side, could he perform a lot better and potentially get those numbers closer to Summerville? Of course they could. But when you look at this, man, it just makes me miss my boy Summerville, and I can't believe he's gone. I really can't. He was my favourite player, man, and it just seems to be the case with Leeds United, doesn't it? Once you fall in love with the player, they're gone. And it's another same old story of that. And speaking of falling in love with players and they're gone, that is a perfect segue into Leeds United's selling antics this summer. Chris Smith put an article out surrounding them. And if you just look at this statistic here, or this tweet of statistics, it does make damning viewing for Leeds United. The top 10 biggest sellers in Europe this window, and Leeds United sit at number 2 on the list, shortly behind Aston Villa, and pretty much dead on tied with Manchester City at 116 million euros, which I believe they give the figure here, 99.5 million pounds worth of sales, which when you consider we also got the £60 million investment from Red Bull, should mean that we have a lot of money to spend, and we shouldn't be haggling over a little bit of prices for Jonathan Rowe. We should just be slapping out 15 and even 20 million, saying, listen, mate, forget it. I'll pay the extra 5 million. Let's get this done now. Let's not make this go down to the wire. Let's get this done now. Let's get him into the squad. Let's get him integrated into the training sessions. Let's get the team flowing. But unfortunately, it doesn't seem like that money that Leeds have made through selling players is really helping us. Either that, or you know, we're just going for the wrong targets who don't want us. And in that case, we should look elsewhere. And one place that Leeds United are looking elsewhere for, the new story of the day, the new name doing the rounds, is of course a player who plays for Stoke City. And he goes by the name of, I do not want to mispronounce this name, but it is manhoef. Manhoef. I believe you would pronounce that manhoef. I'm not 100% sure, but apparently he is going to be valued at around 8 to 10 million pounds. Of course, 5 million pounds shy of Rowe, and 15 to 17 million pounds shy of what we would probably have to be paying for Jack Clarke. Now, that doesn't really scream a lot of optimism for me, because I would like us to spend £20 million on a real top draw winger. I know a lot of people have been saying that Nonto is our Summerville replacement. Now he's been pushed over to the left. He is not a Summerville replacement. We had Summerville and Nonto in the same side last season. The increase in quality that you get from moving Nonto over to the left as opposed to having him on the right is really negligible, in my opinion. Yes, he's slightly better, but he was still performing well on the right. And even when he was playing on the right wing, he was actually going over and switching over wings to the left wing last season and putting in some good work out there. And in fact, this season, when he's been starting on the left, in the first game, he was switching over with Dan James and even manoeuvring himself back over to the right occasionally. So yes, maybe he plays a little bit better, but the gulf in quality compared to what we had last season, in my humble opinion at least, is very much lacking. And if we went for someone like Manhoef, I would still want us to bring in another winger as well. I'd like a Manhoef and a Johnny Rowe. Maybe that's me being greedy. Maybe that's unrealistic. Maybe that's just downright stupid. But that's my opinion. With the money that we made from selling it, with the Red Bull money, I think we should be able to spend a lot more than £10 million. And I think we should be investing in some top quality wingers. But hey, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments section down below. The OTC is here to stay and here to hear everything that you guys have to say. And of course, if you did make it to the end of the video, drop an OTC in the comment section, just so that when I look at it, I know you, my friend, have made it to the end of the video, and you are one of the few legends that did, because let's be real, most people usually click off by this point. But if you are one of the few that stayed, then put an OTC in the comment section down below, just so I can know exactly who you are. But for now, guys, as I said, those have been the stories of the afternoon. We will be back very soon for the cup game at 8 o'clock tonight, so make sure you tune in there. We will be doing a live watch along for that one. For now, I will see you very soon. Out of my brothers and my sisters.